Hello, welcome to another episode of Gardens Table with Rose, and I am Rose. You might hear some barking in the background. That's the dog down the street, so please excuse that. So I am here in my back garden in Zone 6A, Kalamazoo, Michigan, and I'm doing my morning walkthrough, so I thought I would film it because I don't know when I'll be able to get out and do the next back garden tour. I know that over the next few days it's supposed to be in the 90s here, and that means I probably won't be doing much gardening other than the bare minimum. It's just going to be too hot and it's very humid. So keep in mind that this back garden is in disarray. I have not been out here much at all in the past week. I've been drained emotionally, which for me, emotional, physical, spiritual, energy, they kind of all flow together. So it's been hard for me to get up the energy to really work hard out here. So I've just been doing the bare minimum. So it's probably going to be a weedy mess. These potatoes, look at that, they're almost ready. They're dying off the tops, which means that once those die back a little bit more, I can dig up my potatoes. These berries are ready to be picked. I'm hoping it cools off this weekend, so that I can actually come out here and pick them. I think those are I'm not even sure. Those are either my Josta berries or aronia berries, one of the two. And then I have some more gooseberries, a different variety that's a purple, that's also ready. And that's out here somewhere. That's more potatoes, and they're yellowing as well. I think I've lost my white azalea. That thing looks as dead can be. I don't know what happened. It was doing pretty well when the spring came. It was growing. I mean, this is very fertile soil. So I don't know what happened, but it's all goner for sure. I do have blueberries that are starting to ripen. I don't have a lot of blueberries because my blueberry bushes are very young, and they were very small when I got them. So some of them, this is the second year they've been in the ground, probably most of them actually. So yeah, but there are a few. And then there's more berries on this one. Again, it's either a Josta berry or an aronia berry. I couldn't tell you which one. There's signs way down under all of this, but none of these have fruited before this year. My back garden is relatively new. It's about a year older than the front garden. So this is about year 3, I believe, back here, or year 2.5. And it's the front is about a year behind. So this is my berry section, and that's what's going on. I said before, I got a number of peonies over here. They still seem to be growing. It's the first year I just put them in the spring, so I'm not expecting any flowers until year 3. My annuals, the 2 little rows I put here, are doing fine. This is lavender or salvia or Russian sage. It's one of those types of deals, and like I've said before, I have that here to transplant to the front come fall. These are perennials, right? So I'm going zigzagging here. I'm sorry, I don't think these things through before I do them. I just come out and do it. Okay, this is my favorite tomato. This is called the Honey Delight. And, I got 2 ready. They've just started to ripen. And unfortunately, we had storms last night. Lots of rain, thunderstorms, which is good because we needed the rain. But what tends to happen when we get a lot of rain like that is that tomatoes, at least mine, they start to split sometimes because they get overwatered. When they get overwatered, then they just fill with too much fluid. You see that? And the skin starts to split. So they're still perfectly edible and they're juicy and wonderful, but I have to be on top of picking them so that nothing gets in there, no bugs or anything like that. So this is my favorite tomato because it is so sweet. It is the sweetest tomato I've ever eaten in my life. And I just love them. I usually eat these raw. I just eat them as a snack or put them in a salad. But yeah, that's my favorite. So most of my tomato plants are of this variety. And I don't have a lot of tomato plants because it's just me. I only need so many. Oh, look, the bees are out. You see that? I don't know if you could see it. The bees are out here already, even though it's rainy. It's humid, but it's hot. It's supposed to be over 90 today, so it's 7 o'clock and it's already 70 degrees. I don't want to get too close up in here because there are bees in here, but my eggplants are in here. This is a white, oh, I don't know. This is a white variety, and I think it's called the Casper, I believe. You see that? And then I have this, I think this is Rosita, which is a purple and white kind of speckled variety. They're both small. They're a small size fruit, and I like that because they tend to have more tender skin. Yeah. And then I got some peppers here that are very small. Let's hope we get something before the end of the season. More tomatoes here, but I don't see any actual tomatoes on it yet. It does have flowers, but I don't see anything yet. Here's more tomatoes, and there are actually tomatoes in here, probably more honey delights. I don't know if you can see that. There's a little green one. There's green ones here. This one is the only one that's actually has ripe fruit on it so far. I don't know what this is. This is some kind of daisy chrysanthemum or something. I'm not liking the flower that much, but I do like the foliage. I don't think I'll grow this one again though, because I have other foliage cut flowers that I like better. Cosmos. I'm loving cosmos. A lot of flower people, flower farmers complain about cosmos, so that they're hard to harvest. They're easy to me. Actually, they're much easier than bachelor's buttons, which everybody seems to love. I much prefer the cosmos, so next year I'll be growing lots of cosmos and the bare minimum of bachelor's buttons. And the only reason why I'm still growing bachelor's buttons is because I have a bunch of seeds from prior year or two that I purchased. Oh, there's more blueberries starting to ripen. Hopefully the birds don't get them. Oh, look at that. There's a strawberry. Oh, let me get it. I gotta get it because with this moisture, the slugs will be out here in full force eating my stuff. I buy ever-bearing strawberries, so usually I get a second flush towards the fall. The first flush was, back in June, early June. So let's see. Here's my little rain gauge. Look at that. 5 inches? At least 5 inches, because this is not perfectly straight. But at least 5 inches of rain yesterday or last night. So that's a lot of rain for us at one time. So at least I don't have to water. So that's a good deal. Okay, over here is some zinnias. I don't know what these are called. I cannot remember. But it's a unique color. So when I see the flower pack as I go through my things, I'll remember. But I really like this flower. It's small and a little bit wiry, but it makes a good accent flower or little filler flower in bouquets. So I really like that one. And then just zinnias over here that have just started to bloom. And then over here more squash. I've been getting lots of squash off of this summer squash bucket. I get at least 2 squash a day. I have summer squash here and I have some on the other side. Not a lot of plants. I think I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plants of summer squash, and 2 are zucchini, but the others are different varieties. I have a yellow one. I have delicata. So they're different ones. The winter squash they don't seem to be even setting fruit. So I don't know what's going on, because they're right next to those, and those have plenty of fruit. These are winter squash, and I've seen lots of flowers, but I haven't seen fruit, and the fruit that has started to form has immediately rotted. So some kind of, what do they call it, blossom end rot, or something's going on there, and I do not know why. All right, these 4 o'clocks that I've grown for the first time, they are so pretty, very pretty. I did cut a couple of stems to see how they would do in a vase, because I've never grown this flower before. The foliage stays pretty green. The flowers don't. They kind of wilt it immediately, like after a day. But the foliage stays beautiful and green. So I think this would make a great foliage cut flower, like if you're using it just for the leaves and stuff. So this dill, I found that I like it best when I cut it when it's kind of pink. You know, I've tried cutting it at all stages. I really love the bright yellow that it gets when it first blooms, but that doesn't last long. It drops pollen everywhere. I tried letting it get a little less yellow like this. That drops those little dots, so it still drops pollen everywhere. The only thing that has seemed to work out where I'm not getting pollen and stuff dropping, anything dropping all over the place, is this pink. And this is, it has seeds on it. I don't know if you can see that, but those are dill seeds. So it's, but they're not, they haven't turned completely brown. So typically, it seems that when I pick them at that stage, they look good in the vase, but it is a whole different color, you know, because yellow was the initial use of this dill, but instead I'm having to harvest it when it's pink, which is fine. I like pink. My Dara is doing pretty well. You won't see a lot of cut flowers actually here in the garden because I cut them every day, and you have to, because you need to cut flowers. If you're going to make bouquets, you're supposed to cut them at a certain stage, and that's usually before they're fully open. So if you see things that are fully open, they are probably things that either need longer, like something like yarrow. Even though it's fully open, you have to wait till the stems are kind of stiff. So either it's something that needs a longer amount of time, or something I've decided to just let bloom out in order to reseed, or I don't need it, or whatever, or I can't use it. For example, this sunflower, I don't know why this one is multi stems. I think maybe it's one that probably reseeded from another year when I had sunflowers planted, because usually when they reseed themselves, they come back as these stalks with multiple flowers on them. So sometimes I'll cut off the little flowers because I don't need this whole mass is too much for any kind of bouquet. But sometimes I'll cut off the small ones and use them. But right now I have so many sunflowers sitting in buckets in a bucket that I don't need any extras. There are a couple I want to cut because there are some specialty ones that I plant, and I'm going to use every one of them because they're pretty pricey. This is one. I think this is part of that Van Gogh, I think it's called Van Gogh variety from Sunflower Steve. And those seeds are hard to get. I mean, they open up the sale at a certain day and time, and they were sold out of all of his seeds within I don't know, within 15 minutes. So luckily, you know, I was sitting there waiting to order mine, so I did get a nice supply for me that will last me for a while. I love this cress. This is some kind of cress. Even as it's getting old, it's still pretty to me. It has brown and green mixed. It was all green, of course. So I'm going to be planting more of that, using that as filler. Some more zinnias. The zinnias haven't given me much yet. Oh man, I need to move faster. My videos are always too long. Mahogany Splendor, I really like that stuff as a filler, so I'll be growing more of that. I cut down all of this Sweet Annie, I believe it is. And I didn't like that too much. It's a good filler because it grows fast, it's bushy, it's huge, but I just don't like this leaf. I didn't like the ferniness of it. So I think I'm gonna try not doing that one again. I'm taking that one off the list. These lanterns, I cut most of those down, and I'm trying to dry some and see how they dry. But I can't remember. Apple of Peru is the name of this, and I really like this. You know, you have to let the flowers bloom out, and then it gets these green seed pods, and that's when you cut them. If you wait, the seed pods will start turning brown, which isn't as attractive. So I have been using those. They last a long time in the vase. I really like it. My few little asters that I planted have been starting to come up, and I've cut some. There's a white one. They're just beautiful. I do love this aster. Now that I've grown it for the first time, I'm gonna grow a lot more of those for sure. And I did purchase some perennial asters because these are all annuals, but they're perennial varieties. And we'll see how they do. They're very small right now. This is an older bloom, so I'm not going to cut that one. But you can see the size in my hand there. It's half the size of my hand. But that's very pretty. Very pretty. So, I still have not completed my renovation of the garden. These delphiniums. I decided to leave this one because this one was much too tall for anything I would need it. Look how big it is. It's like as tall as me. A little bit shorter than me, so it's at least 5 feet tall, but it was too tall for of a bouquet to put in a vase, so I just left it. There's more mahogany splendor. This was delphiniums and larkspur, which I'm leaving that to hopefully reseed itself. I do love the larkspur, but it doesn't last a long time in the vase. Unfortunately, it starts to drop the petals pretty quickly. But I do love the way it looks, so I'm going to continue to grow it. Delphiniums are supposed to be perennials, so I'm going to continue to grow those because I want to put as many perennials out in the cut flower garden as possible, so I don't have to, it will save me money instead of having to buy seeds every year, plant stuff every year, start seedlings every year. So I'm trying to transition to more perennials. The snapdragons, there's only one here and there that come up now. I've cut off of that the whole season since it was still cool. I mean, so snapdragons are wonderful in terms of a long blooming flower over spring and summer. I have not finished my renovation. I'm still supposed to be, let me turn around. I'm supposed to be taking this row. This was a whole row here. And I'm supposed to be dividing it, adding a little to that row, adding a little to this row, and making a walkway, which I will then line. I think the walkway, I'll put some landscape fabric down, and then I may put some mulch or something on top of that. We'll see. But I did remove all of the Sweet William. There was a whole patch of Sweet William there. I moved it over to by the shed, so I got that part done. But I have not dug this up, and so that's why it looks like a hot mess. So ignore that. Now this stuff over here, I don't even understand. I thought this was all cosmos. And maybe it is, but man, whatever it is much taller than me. Yeah, so I'm not sure what's happening, and I'm not sure why I have so much of it. There's a lot of whatever this is. I don't even know. I don't even think it's cosmos anymore. I really thought it was all cosmos, and it's something else. I don't know what. I'm gonna have to bring out my little app and try to figure it out. Whatever it is now growing like a weed, and it's spread everywhere. So my guess is it was something I direct seeded, and the seeds have moved around because I've been pulling them out, little ones, as I saw them, because I'm like, why is this everywhere? I mean, like, there's one there, there's one there. So the seeds have like moved with the wind, with birds. I don't know. I had a little bit of straw flower in here. I've cut all that and I'm drying it. I love straw flower. I'm going to grow a lot of that next year. There was some bupleurum in here, and I left some of it to see if it will reseed. This is this ergonium, something like that. Sea holly. It's very spiky. I don't like it. I will not grow that one again. This was one fennel, and I don't know why this fennel decided it should be a flower instead of a fennel bulb. So that's what it's doing, and I just let it do its thing. I'm not using that for cut flowers. It's just there until I clean out this row. Some Queen's Anne's lace or something like that. Amy, one of the two. And I've gotten a couple of stems, but this is another one. All these like this, I usually wait until the stem is pretty solid, so it feels, it just feels stronger and not floppy like these new ones are. And that seems to help with vase life. Lots of yarrow. Yarrow is great because it lasts a long time in a vase, and it dries well. It maintains a good color. So, and it grows like a weed. I mean, yarrow, and it's a perennial, so you don't even have to plant it again. So that's what's going on in the cut flower patch. Stella, how did you get in here? Oh no, the dogs have come in. Okay. Black-eyed Susans or brown-eyed Susans, one of the two. My grapes are doing well. Grapes are usually not ready till the late in the season, Lots of weeds back here. Ignore that. Dahlias, you'll only see a few blooming because I come out and cut them every day. I have to get rid of this one. I do not like this variety, and I never use it. It looks like a doggone candy cane, so I don't know why I got that one, but it could have been in a grab bag though. I got like mixed ones in grab bags, but I will not be digging that one out, and I won't be regrowing it. I love this one though. It gives you these burgundy smaller smaller dahlias. I like that one a lot. Actually, I'm of the ones I've grown, I'm liking the smaller ones better than these big dinner plate ones. Smaller ones are easier to use. They seem to get less bug damage than the large ones. This is a medium-sized one, and it's okay. It's an orange and yellow. Nothing to write home about. I like this one a lot. This one is you can't see anything, but it's a little burgundy one. I do like that one. There's a one that is pink and yellow, and it's a smaller flower too. It's okay. Like I said, none of them really stood out other than that dark burgundy one that I showed you, and this one at the end here. Another big orange one. I guess maybe that's a dinner plate one. Again, not impressed. This one I really like. This flower is deformed, so let me see if I can find one that isn't deformed. This one, it's a little ball one, and it's kind of orange. So I'm finding, yeah, I like those smaller flowering ones best in terms of my berries. Ooh, I have a branch that's fallen down. In terms of the berries, I'm still getting blackberries ripening slowly but surely. This one is doing the most right now, and this is the Apache blackberry. So I've been coming out harvesting off of that one. This was my favorite blackberry, the thornless variety, and it is all done. This was the Freedom Primo Cane. It's all done for the season, but man, those berries were good. I am disappointed in my Snowbank blackberry, I think it was called. It's a white blackberry. I'm very disappointed because the berries are so small. Look how small those are. It's like smaller than the tip of my finger. And I don't know why. They are delicious. The other issue with these is that bugs seem to attack this one more. Like the berries, when I did pick the few that had ripened, and there were little tiny ones all over, but either they're so small, I'm not going to bother with that, or they just kind of shriveled up and did nothing. But this, I noticed this one is more attractive to bugs, and even with the berries, lots of ants were on them. I mean, I've sprayed them, so it's kind of held that at bay a little bit, but I am not impressed. So I may be taking that one out. My mindset now is that I rip out things that don't work for me. I give it like a year or two, and if it's not doing what I need it to do, then it's gone, because my space is very limited, so I cannot afford to take up my time with things that are not performing. These are all zinnias. They just started to bloom, and of course, like I said, I keep all the flowers cut if I see a bloom. This, of course, is the same old asparagus patch that's doing what it does. And in the fall, I'll cut all those canes down. I still have onions over here getting ready. I've planted my fall crops here. And I know the word crops. You imagine big fields and stuff. But it's just me. So for me, a crop is like 2 to 3 of each thing. So 2 to 3 broccolis, 2 to 3... those are crops because it's multiple things, but they're all here, and I have to keep brassicas covered because these bugs here, we have tons of cabbage moths and cabbage worms and beetles, and they love to eat brassicas, so you have to keep those covered. I do, looks like, have some leafy greens up there, some kind of kale or collard or something that I can come cut. Still got all the celery here because I only eat so much celery. There are a couple of squashes here and a couple on there. I have to look and see what variety this is here. I'm assuming it's a summer squash, but it's shaped like a winter squash. It's shaped like a butternut, so I'm not even sure what that one is. I have to go look through my seeds and see what I planted. This is another one of the reseeded sunflowers. I have been cutting and using these because the little side shoots are pretty long, if you can see. So it's like a full-size sunflower. So that one's nice. The corn is tall. Man, the corn is tall. I've grown corn for 3 years, and I have never seen the corn be this tall. I mean, it's like 8 or 9 feet. But anyway, my corn most of all of it. It has at least one, corn ear of corn. So get out of there, Stella. So I'm very excited. I grow, this is a purple It's a bicolor one. It's like purple and yellow. And then the others are just yellow. So my corn is doing well. I got a ton of basil over in this area too that I'm doing nothing with because I was going to use it for cut flowers, and then I just did not like, I don't know. It just seemed like it just wasn't working for me. All that basil. There's a whole section full of basil. And then I still have some fennel bulbs, which I've used, I think just one. It takes me a while to work my way through vegetables. That's why I don't eat a lot of them. But it was good. I was very happy to have it. All right, so look, I got some little onions in pots. Excess seeds, I just, sprinkle them in pots and see what happens. These are mostly perennials over here. There may be some annuals thrown in. But I got roses and alliums and a hydrangea. More roses. These kind of tiger lilies or whatever they're called. These are not for cutting. These are just for decorativeness. Too big. This cleome, I really like this stuff. I don't know if this is going to reseed. It's huge. But this would, I think, be really nice as a perennial kind of plant if it comes back. I didn't grow this to cut it, but I just like the way it looks. So I'm thinking about putting some either closer to the shed or in the front because I do like it. This squash is out of control. So I've been picking squash off of here practically every day as well. It's huge. It's huge. And what'll happen is at some point I'm going to get tired of eating squash. I'm going to tell you that now. This one's delicata though. I love delicata, and that stores pretty well. The delicata, at least for a few weeks. So I'll probably leave that one. The other one is a yellow squash, so I will leave, actually I'll leave both of those because I only have one of each. But those green ones on the other side, I'm probably gonna, or in the vegetable area, there's a green one. I'm probably gonna pull that out because I've had enough of green squash. This is where I moved all the Sweet William that I dug up. And some of them probably will die because you never know when you transplant things what's gonna happen. But right now, probably because of all the rain, they're looking good. But this is like a sea of Sweet William. There's a bunch of sedum in the middle. There's just one little mini rose bush on my fig tree. And then another hydrangea over there. There's a couple of peonies in here, which I may move at least one of them. I had so much Sweet William, I just put it all the way on the side to the back, all the way through there. And so, yeah, this area seems to be doing okay. Oh, my hydrangeas here. These are my Limelight Primes by Row of Limelight Primes. And look at that. Now this is I put them in last season, so this is the first year they've bloomed. They were small. I don't know, maybe 1 gallon or 2 gallon pots, but I have 7 of the 8 left, and a couple of them are blooming. Well, all of them have buds on them, but here they're bigger here and they get smaller. I think because these get more sun, but they're beautiful. I need a weed whack, but beautiful hedge there. Another hydrangea. I think this is a bobo. I just planted that not too long ago, so it had a couple. Oh no, it has like black spot or something on it. Not good. Well, that one. Luckily, it's a bobo. I think it blooms on new wood, so I can cut that one down, and hopefully it will be okay. This humidity and moisture is not doing my plants any favors because. I don't know, here I do tend to be susceptible to mildew, moldy kinds of conditions, even though we haven't had a lot of rain. This is a nectarine tree, which has a couple of small nectarines on it. All of the fruits that fruited on my trees this year, except for my one apple tree, is very tiny. And I don't know if that's because it's the first year it fruited or what, but it's smaller. And nothing new back here, just my series of trees and shrubs as I try to fill this area in over here with trees and shrubs and get rid of the grass. That's my goal over there. Let's see, is there anything else? No, there's more shrubs over there. And this little bed, my little cucumbers that I started recently are getting much bigger. Because for, like I said before, I didn't have any cucumbers. And then I do have some tomato plants over here that only 2 are flowering. So that's good. And then this basil has taken off. I planted this a long time ago and it stayed tiny for months. And now it's just taking off, so I'm happy. I gotta get these flowers off of here because that'll change the flavor once it starts to flower. But this is my cooking basil. This is very important. And also I make pesto and things like that. There's a little pepper plant back here. This is actually one that was in my indoor hydroponic garden and I transplanted it out here. Just a bell pepper, and it has peppers on it, so hey, that worked out well. That may be something I try in the future. I have 2 indoor hydroponic systems, so I may use one to start things that take a long time to grow the seedling, like peppers and tomatoes. I may start those all in there and then use those as my transplants, because one I will use throughout the winter and everything for leafy greens and herbs, but the other one I don't really like the system as much, and so it would be good to use for seed starting. So I may do that. And that's all. I got my green stocks with all my herbs in there, and those green beans are turning yellow, the leaves, so they're ready to go. They're full of green beans, so I'm gonna pick those for the next couple of days and cook them and eat them. And that is all I have for today. So yeah, that's all that's going on. The grass needs to be cut too. But I gotta go inside now. It is hot and it is humid and it's stifling out here. All right, so until next time, bye bye.